Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Sandeep Walia, Head of the Department, University Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Management, Chandigarh University. Today, we are going to discuss the module Cargo Industry Regulations and Impacts under the paper Cargo Operations and Management. After completing this module, the students will be able to understand what are regulations in air cargo industry. They will also become to know about how are these regulations bogging in the industry down. They will also be aware about what steps have been taken for deregulations. The students will also be aware about the effects of deregulations. Air cargo is an important constituent in our economy. Air cargo can make economies dull. The thriving cross-border trade has been a possibility because of air cargo only. IATA is assuming that air cargo will do a business of 5.5 trillion USD dollars in the year 2020. One cannot imagine perishable goods to be moved from one part to another without air cargo. The medicines and its supply, especially of the pharma products, depends on air transport and for speedy and also for the objects that have a little shelf life and need to be kept at certain temperatures. It is a big business, and a study reveals that on cold chain cargo approx 12 billion US dollars is being spent. The sector will grow as estimates predict about 16.7 billion USD by 2020. The animal and its rights have been best held up by air cargo industry. Animal cargo extensively uses air modes. Retailers like eBay, Alibaba and other e-commerce depend on the express services. Let us now discuss about the regulation of air cargo. The Chicago Conference of the year 1944 was a game changer in setting forth the air regulations, and these regulations were valid for not only passenger but air cargo too. The regulations for air cargo often are blamed to be more liberalized as compared to that of the passenger. And even different types and kind of air cargo service providers have different kinds of regulation mechanism. The routine airlines, which include the cargo only airlines as well as combination flights, that is cargo plus packs, are the ones that pick up the maximum volume of cargo globally, are often scrutinized to the maximum. Non-scheduled flights, which are charter in nature, are the ones that enjoy a lot of exemption. Often integrated express carriers also enjoy these exemptions. The operators which are integrated often play safe by outsourcing of establishing a partnership with the local players. The safest are the pure freight forwarders, as they themselves are not indulging in air cargo operations, rather create a B2B relationship with the authorized operator. Rule of foreign ownership restriction. It is not the air issues but certain laws and rules like the rule of foreign ownership, curtailment are also restrictions. Of course, they have been made that it may not happen that major market sharks may dominate the market and take full control. This will result in sidelining of the local or the domestic carriers. The next one is the integration issues. Airlines cannot do forward and backward integrations like ground movement or transportation and logistics including warehousing. Then the third is ground handling. Often the countries even interfere into ground handling and may have a fixed ground handler, or even the airports authority may be given the charge, which removes the airlines from this function too. The ground handling agency is thrust upon the carrier. Hong Kong has also done it, but it gives choices of 3 operators that are recognized by the government, and the airlines may choose which may fit its bill. China, Australia and Indonesia are more notorious, where they restrict airlines to do their own ground handling. The next one is the time wastage. The customs treat cargo passenger differentially than the air passenger and thus often take ages to clear the cargo. This is a major barrier to the cargo rules and thus hinders its growth. The next one is the dichotomy of the government. The government on one hand want that air cargo should be a smart and major player with other economic sector and industries. It wants the air cargo operations to expand with the growing global trade and the economic growth that's happening all around. But at the same time, the government is not supporting free route connections, network ease, and flexibility in the service design by different types of service providers. The next one is treating air cargo and air passengers flights in the same route restrictions. The government is unable to understand that air cargo also have separate needs like different passenger groups have different and its needs will differ from the need of the passenger crafts. The cargo carriers may require second, third, fourth or multi-stops to make the profitability of route rise. The seventh one is the air cargo operations too stringent. The air cargo industry has to be freed from the stringent clutches where flexibility has to creep in. The supply chains are in parts and highly fragmented. The concept of just-in-time manufacturing has arrived, which has redefined the whole air cargo game. In such a scenario, if we do not allow regulatory and procedural flexibility, we are hindering the growth of air cargo. The air cargo to speed up should be allowed to move into ancillary services, and the speeding of the customs will definitely provide a boost. Let us discuss about bilateral air transport regime. The bilateral agreement resulting from the Chicago Convention and resulting the freedoms of air allows passengers and cargo both to use each other's specific routes on bilateral agreements. These countries can designate carriers, fix fares, and define capacity too. The two rules that also act as hindrance are the foreign ownership and barriers to foreign participation and on the rules of taking charter flights. The first one is the rights for traffic. The manufacturers, cargo customers, also use the hub-spoke model of airlines. The air cargo needs to increase profitability and full capacity, which can be achieved by picking up cargo and dropping off cargo at different places on a certain route. The fifth and seventh freedom of air can come in handy when the air cargo airlines are looking forward to flexibility in terms of picking and dropping cargo at multiple points on a specific route. The two freedoms discussed here are carriage of the flight between two countries where either the origin or the destination is a home country of the carrier. Carriage of flight between two countries by an air carrier belonging to another country and the carrier establishing no connection with its home country. The flow here is triangular, which as per dynamics may look unbalanced but fits the unbalanced cargo flow. The concept of sabotage operation is in the favor of the air cargo businesses. Carriage of freight within a country of an airlines of another country on a way with either the origin or the destination in the home country. Then the next one is too much focus on flag carriers. Despite the freedom of air recognized that the freedom of air will be established with flag carrier or appellate carriers, yet the government seems to protect the interest of the flag carrier. Often, single designation is harmful for the business and very often where the air cargo business volume is too low, multiple designations is equally harmful. The third one is the price regulation and capacity regulation. The bilateral agreements even govern and rule the number of flights in a day, week, month and uses of equipment and the capacity which is under the purview of bilateral agreements. Because of this, only restricted routes are opened up. This is a major restriction as it layers down the overall capacity. This is being worked upon as government and ITA both have started coming up with negotiable capacity rules. The pricing options are also centralized as it is mandated to put the price in a concerned block of the documentation. This could result in competitive issues between the business and even unhealthy competitions. Though the step to mention the price was a safeguard and avoid discrimination and preference in terms of pricing, yet it proved to bring its negative competitiveness. The fourth one is the ownership clauses. The bilateral agreements state that contracting airlines should be owned by the two contracting states that are entering into bilateral agreement with each other. The control of the airlines should also be in the hands of these two countries. This was again done in good earnest to avoid below standard airlines to enter the business. This was also done to enhance the local participation of the country. Very often, the country does not have national carrier or flag carrier for cargo operations, and thus this rule needs to be flexible. Then the fifth one is the fully booked or charters. The charter service operation internationally are not a part of bilateral agreements between two contracting states. As often the charters are seen more as a revenue stealer to the scheduled carriers and assume that it robs these scheduled carriers of the revenue. Charter and lease of aircrafts actually is the workload of the airlines. It helps to distribute the heavy peak season loads, and with small players which have less capital, charter flights can become very handy. Let us now discuss about other barriers and impacts on air cargo operations. After studying the restrictions arising out of bilateral agreements, there are certain other barriers which also stop the full potential of air cargo to bloom. This can be recognized as: the first one is the issues of foreign stakes. The percentage of which the capital foreign airlines can invest in another country is capped, and this creates issue of ownership and equity in air transports. Leasing and wet leasing, which involves hiring of the professionals with the craft, is stopped and in turn diminishes the bloom of the air cargo industry in a country. China and India have recognized these constraints and are allowing joint ventures between a local carrier and an outside carrier. The second one is the utilization of the airport. The airports are generally congested and were constructed when such a boom in aviation was not expected. These very airports provide priority to the passenger airlines than the cargo airlines, or the cargo side of the mixed craft. The low traffic helps in lesser traffic on the road but at night, but many parts of the world there are night blanket ban over flight operations, so this chance is missed by them. The third one is the forward and backward integration, that is the ancillary services. Ground service handling and restrictions to it plus the restrictions to multi-modes needs to be revisited. The door-to-door services can only be provided in case multi-modal operations are allowed. Often, the air cargo carriers are in a fixed whether to hire ground services or to do ground handling by themselves or selecting a competitor ground handler. The night blanket ban interferes with the synergetic approach which air cargo with the surface transport. It has to develop with the passage of time, as without good surface transport, the overall chain will get affected, and especially the express services and door-to-door services will be greatly hampered. The licenses issued are of a particular chain of the process, dissolving the concept of treating the whole chain as one entity. The overall control of the flight industry is missed. Cargo services, if they want to move one step further into freight forwarding, business is also not allowed. The next is the procedure at Customs Department. The time priority or time sensitive cargo supply chains find time as a major reason for air cargo failure. That too at the custom stage. There are countries where the custom time alone is almost 40% of the overall international cargo transport time. Customs, no doubt, is important and done for the state. It helps to stop smuggling, look into issues of things which can be hazardous for people's health, etc. Delay at customs results in customer dissatisfaction. The extra time taken here delays the total output of the air cargo companies. Both human procurement and machine procurement in the customs department has not been done properly is an important aspect to notice. Physical examinations are too much time taking, and X-ray screenings can save time, thus providing profitability and saving time. Professionals' ethics and professionalism overall, if lacked, reflects in the work and the operation is suffered, which results in loss of revenue. Let us now discuss about technology and regulation of defining forces on air cargo industry. Students, be it technology or regulations, it has defined the cargo industry. The regulation has been one of the forces that has pushed the need for higher technology, and with increasing regulation comes the increasing technology upgrade. Various technologies have made air cargo capable of sending advanced information to those who regulate destinations. The preloading advanced cargo information systems enable the operators to send pre-information from the systems. The requirement of advanced information is well understood, but the associations of cargo are demanding the need for setting a standard format for data, as the air cargo industry has to deal with the demands of multiple regions and nations that requires data in various forms. The issues was bogging the industry, and probable solutions was being searched through talks with the industry and associations. These brainstorming sessions brought a solution which was single window for advanced cargo information. It will use an electronic platform where the common requirements of the country's air cargo data need to be analyzed and filled up and can be used for multi-countries to provide them advanced information. The idea is in neonatal stage, but definitely once implemented and developed will reduce the compliance finances and will unburden the industry. The industry coping with regulation and taking assistance of technology both simultaneously brings in multi-innovative solutions like blockchain technology and the creation of data backbones. The world players in air cargo are talking of facilitation in trades. The global economics are advised as to how to conceptualize the facilitation of the trade and bringing all the information and database related issue on a single window electronic platform. The Civil Aviation Ministries and its people are the source at which the cargo associations hitting at and lobbying for single window information system. It is not about single air cargo operator, but the industry as an overall which has to deal with the challenge and changes in the future. Dear students, let us now discuss about deregulation of air cargo industry. The 70s witnessed the deregulation of airlines, and this expanded the cargo services. It brought it more competitive rates and brought a lot of innovation. This single deregulation was an ample proof that many areas of air cargo business needs to be visited and deregulations conducted, which can make air cargo usher and bloom in a new environment. The deregulation led to the removal of economic development of express air services. This led to higher amount of cargo and a variety of cargo to be shipped. Before deregulation, the regulations were choking companies like FedEx was classified under express and not as an air cargo airlines, which clipped its wings and forced it to use smaller planes despite the fact that larger planes were at its disposal. The deregulations had already provided a breather to the passenger airlines, and thus it made the cargo industry also to follow the same route. The unregulated interstate airlines were in a position to provide almost half the price to the passenger that the airlines from the regulated areas. There were stages in the deregulation processes, and the deregulation had profound effect on the air cargo industry as a whole. Let us now discuss about the innovations resulting from deregulation. There can be two classifications of air cargo industry. It is first and the second order categorization. First order innovations were the direct result of deregulation. This led to the right that in case a certain parcel requires an urgent lift, then it could be belly hold on the routings which airlines hold passenger authority. How much shipping space was available was an issue that was highly unpredictable. Generally, shipping got the space after passenger bags have been accommodated and the remaining belly space can be used. Deregulation allowed multi-options for belly hold cargo. This deregulation brought in the permission to use larger aircraft for shipping cargo. It could be an overnight shipping and the prices were governed by the market trends. It helped the farm producers to be lifted and reach their markets in the morning from one corner to the other. Absence of route restrictions could develop the hub-spoke model in the cargo industry too. It turned many places of the world into overnight world's largest cargo airports. This hub and spoke further urged a new era for cargo growth and innovation in the likes of computerized information systems, digital dispatches, integration of communication technologies, the concept of online tracking, etc. This all brought in the focus on speed and delivery, which in turn enhanced their reliabilities. There was new delivery methods innovated. There were multi-modes and intermode services that came into the picture. The second order innovations were the spread of lean retailing processes. There were just-in-time deliveries conceptualized by some big players in the air cargo industry. Certain industries are now at the mercy of just-in-time processes. At last-minute request from the customers can be entertained and product shipped well in time. Stocking all possible options could lead to such high inventory cost that the business would fail to achieve its ends. The air cargo used multimodal options like air and ground combinations to do the delivery in time. Another innovation that resulted was the rapid turnaround time. In such cases, often the services were developed at the airport by the companies or the major clients, were consignments for repairs received, handled by the companies at the airport service offices and redispatched in the morning. E-commerce is the most visible second-order innovation like Amazon.com, eBay, Alibaba. The sales figures for big cargo companies is as high as 1 trillion US dollars, that too for a single company. These figures are bound to grow as online sales are there times higher than offline sales. The new business products have come up where the customers are being given options of express or slow deliveries. Thus, deregulation has impacted cargo industry in all the positive way and will take industry to a new height. Dear students, let us now summarize what we have discussed in this module. The air freedoms and treatment of cargo airlines in line with passenger lines were constraints and needed modification. The demand of data and bringing these demands on an e-platform in a common digitized manner was a feat that was achieved by the cargo associations. These regulations were somewhere holding the cargo industry and bogging it down. The era of deregulation combined with the technology advent redefined the concepts and freed the air cargo industry from many barriers that were created. The blooming online retail business is a live example that how deregulation can have an impact and what all can be achieved in a short spell of time. And with these words, I sum up this module. Thank you.